Hey everyone, welcome back to Ackernews. Yes, I was able to keep this up for 4 weeks straight. This week was a pretty weird news week. We had the Nintendo Direct, and that sort of overshadowed some other things that probably would have been considered big news in a normal week, but since we had the Direct, not really so much. So in this edition of Ackernews, we're going to be focusing on the Direct for our big news segment. We're just going to go through the Direct and sort of talk about my impressions on, each individual thing and just talk about what happened at the Direct. I did do a reaction to the Direct yesterday, but since I had some more time to sort of think on things and, really formulate my opinions about them, I feel like we can sort of have a better discussion about the things that we saw at the Direct this week. But before we do that, we of course have to do our rapid fire news segment, which once again this week we have 7 topics. I don't know why it keeps ending up with 7 topics, but that's just how I guess gaming news works. There's always just exactly seven topics for, smaller things to talk about. So let's start out with our rapid fire news. First up, we've got Sony being pro-consumer and actually fixing the CMOS battery issue in the PlayStation 4 and possibly the PlayStation 5. Not sure on that one yet. But if you didn't know about this, there was an issue with the PlayStation 4 where it would eventually, after a certain amount of time, one of the batteries would die, and that would prevent you from playing your physical games and your digital games, any game on the PlayStation 4 at a certain point once those batteries die. But with the PlayStation 4 firmware update 9.0.0, I believe it is, they have made it so that you can actually play games even after your battery has died, and you can unlock trophies after that point as well. The main thing the CMOS battery was in charge of doing was keeping track of the internal time on your PlayStation 4, so that, you can do things like unlock trophies and then keep track of the date and time that happened, as well as, pre-download a game and play that at the time that it actually releases. If it wasn't for that, then you can just change the time on the PlayStation 4 and just, say, oh, I unlocked this trophy in 1970, or I'm just going to change the date to the day this game comes out and then play it now. So that's why it was such a big issue when that died, because you wouldn't be able to actually verify they're able to play games, so you can't actually play them. Same thing with trophies, you can't actually get the trophy data, so it just wouldn't let you play any games. It was a weird situation. The reason this was such a big deal was because at a certain point, if all these consoles' batteries kept dying, a lot of games would become, unplayable, and that's a really big issue for game preservation. But they fixed the issue, so that's good to see. Next up, we have the announcement that Little Gator game, developed by Mega Wobble, is going to be published by Playtonic Friends. If you don't know what Little Gator game is, or you haven't heard of it yet, it's like if Breath of the Wild was developed by an indie studio and the main character was an alligator. It's a pretty weird concept, but based on what I've seen from different trailers and stuff on Twitter here and there, it seems like it's going to be a pretty fun game, and I'm pretty excited about it. Seems like a lot of other people are excited for it as well. And now that it's being published by Playtonic Friends, I'm even more excited about it. I guess I should also explain what Playtonic Friends is. It's a publishing company, I guess you could call it, that's spearheaded by Playtonic Studios, the game studio that develops Yooka-Laylee, and that's made up of old Rare developers and I guess a lot of new people as well. And it seems like they have a very quirky sense of, what games they want to actually publish, and Little Gator game seems to kind of fit that mold perfectly. I also just got that it's supposed to be like Platonic Friends, like Platonic Friends. Just got that. Next up, we've got a sort of cool, cute little product that I saw on Famitsu this week on Twitter, and it is a pancake maker that makes pancakes in the shape of Kirby and Waddle Dee. I just thought this was just exceedingly adorable, so I figured I'd share it with you guys here. There's a couple of, in the previous entries I also did kind of a similar thing. I just find this kind of stuff really interesting, like what type of Japanese products are getting put out, so just figured I'd share that with you guys here. Especially, seeing as the new Kirby game's coming out, seemed very apt to bring that up. So there you go. Sticking with Nintendo-related foods, we have the situation, I guess you could call it, that's going on with the limited edition Pokemon Oreos that I spoke about in a previous edition of Ackernews. It seems that they're being scalped online, as you might have expected with this sort of thing. There's listings on eBay for individual cookies, like the individual Mew one, I guess is the rarer Oreo, I guess, and there's thousands of dollars, which obviously no one's going to pay, but they do still exist, trying to drive up the price. It seems like most people are probably just buying them off eBay at, maybe a couple of dollars extra. I think the base price was $4. They're probably paying, a couple of dollars more. Honestly, any amount of money more is probably too much because it's literally just Oreos. But yeah, I know. Last time I checked, I checked on Target earlier today just because I wanted to see, what was going on with that. And near me, there was at least one Target that had them still in stock and one that didn't. So I guess depending on where you live, it's a kind of a crapshoot, but there's a chance that they could still be in stock or that they're going to put out more of them. So I would say don't buy them off eBay. Even if there's no more stock, I'd still say don't buy them off eBay. Yeah, so there's the situation with those Pokemon Oreos. Next up, we've got the WATA certified copy of Sonic the Hedgehog that sold for record prices. The final sale price of the copy was $430,500, which is an all-time record for any Sega Genesis game. And it's 100% also a scam. Everybody knows it's a scam at this point, so they can't hide it now, so it's kind of just like, hey, there's another game that they drove up the price of and then somebody bought it, and then it's going to crash eventually. Even the creator of Sonic also apparently knows that it's a scam. He posted on Twitter, he just said... he said, "This is a scam, right? Is this a scam?" He said something like that. But then one of the guys responded. He said, "We can assure you that this is a genuine sale to a real buyer on Golden. Our customers trust us because all of our auctions are fair and for authentic items. We also vet all of our bidders on high-end items such as this." It's like, you're going a bit too hard there, my guy. You gotta calm it down if you want people to actually believe you at this point. There's a lot of evidence. I'll just say that. Next, we've got a 1/2 scale Arcanine plush that's also being released in Japan. It's another one of those Japanese products I saw on Famitsu. And yeah, it's amazing, and I want one. It's really cool. I love these kind of big Pokemon plushes that they're putting out recently. Like they had, what was it, like a giant Piplup one. They had a big Snorlax, I know, at one point, and now they got Arcanine. I think they had a Lapras too at one point. That one was really cool. But they got the 1/2 scale Arcanine one, which is huge. It's gigantic, and it's amazing. So that's pretty cool. All right, now the last bit of rapid fire news is going to be about the spoilers / leaks / gaming news, people getting angry at the fans for getting angry at them. If you didn't know, yesterday, before the Direct, it was about a couple hours, maybe like 5, no more than 6 hours before the Direct, Nintendo accidentally leaked the Kirby game, the title, and some image online on their Japanese website. And a lot of gaming publications sort of jumped on this opportunity, and they were like, oh, here, we're just going to put out articles. Everyone put out articles that say, we got a new Kirby game coming in. There's a new Kirby game. Nintendo leaked the new Kirby game. And then, understandably, people were like, why did you say this 2 hours before the Direct? We could have just saw this in the Direct and actually been, surprised and excited when this came out, but now we're not. And it's Twitter, so you know that a lot of people in the comments were mad at the people that put out the article, and then there were people that were mad at them. Everyone was just arguing. It was a whole mess, but aside from that, I was one of the people that actually got spoiled by one of these things. Well, I guess spoiled is maybe, in Kotaku terms, you couldn't actually call it a spoiler because it was for a trailer. You couldn't actually, it's not a spoiler unless it's actually a big plot point to a movie or something. It's not a spoiler according to this article that they just put out. I wasn't going to talk about this until they put out this article. It's like, fans were upset over Nintendo Direct, quote-unquote, spoilers. And then the whole article is just a long-winded way of saying, why are you guys mad at us? It was crazy. If you're a part of the gaming community and part of the gaming sphere, you know how people treat these Directs and these press conferences. They're like the big events of the year of, whatever quarter you're in, whatever it may be, the month for this, specific Direct. And a lot of people find enjoyment in, watching these trailers and these announcements at these events because, for me personally, they're like fan events, and they show you the new upcoming games, and it's always a really fun experience to sort of watch the press conferences and see what they're gonna put out next. And I think it's pretty understandable to consider this a spoiler because you're sort of taking away the excitement and the enjoyment and the surprise of finding out that information at the actual press conference where you want to find it out, and it's the best circumstances to find it out. For example, for me, it was just I went on Twitter for 2 seconds, went up to the top of my feed. first article was Kotaku just saying, there's a new Kirby game and it's called Kirby Discovery according to the Japanese website. So for me there, I was just like, oh, I guess there's a Kirby game that I just saw on Kotaku. And that sort of ruined the moment for me when I was watching the trailer when it actually got announced. A lot of these trailers are sort of made to be like, you know, they subvert your expectations, especially this Kirby trailer we just saw. It was like, what's this game going to be? What's it going to be? And you're getting all excited. And then it's like, they show Kirby and it's like, oh, it's the thing that I already knew about. As opposed to being like, oh, yes, it's a new Kirby game. Well, here's my actual reaction to it. No water. Palm trees? Maybe it's Monkey Ball. It's not Monkey Ball. I'm so excited for that game, but alright, oh, okay, so it's the new Kirby. I got spoiled for this on Twitter. All the game journalists, game journalism sites were like, oh, hey, they leaked the Kirby game. So I was like, oh, great, you just spoiled it for everybody. That's great. So yeah, obviously I was still excited at the trailer after I was watching it. I was seeing what the game actually was. It was still exciting, but it really took away that initial sort of like surprise aspect of it. Personally, I'm not mad at the gaming publications for doing this. You know, they're just doing their job and they're just covering the news. But I think they should have gone about it in a different way. You know, just have like an ambiguous title that says like, new Nintendo game leaks early before the Direct. And then just show like a picture of like a question mark or like Mario with his hands up or something like that. You know, don't actually just show the game if people, you know, because there's people that don't want to be spoiled and they consider it a spoiler. So don't just ruin that experience for people because they just want to actually enjoy it at the Direct. And then obviously people are going to be on Twitter just scrolling down through their feed and they don't expect to just see, oh, here's the Kirby game, you know? So next time, just be a little bit more ambiguous, I guess, is the sort of moral of the story here. And that's it for rapid fire news. But before we move on to the Direct, let's just do the Gamer of the Week first, because we got a pretty good one this week. It's pretty wholesome. So this week, the gamer, or I guess in this case, gamers of the week, are going to be the Matagi Snipers, which is a team of senior esports professional players that is based in Akita, Japan. They have members ranging from age 66 to 73, and the sort of reason that the team was established and like the core values is like to show the health benefits of esports for older adults as well as to impress their grandkids. I just thought that was a really wholesome line there. I believe there's a total of 8 members, and they were sort of selected based on their aptitude for playing games, I guess. Their goal is to enter tournaments and win tournaments, and they're going to be starting streaming in October, so definitely look forward to seeing some of those Matagi Sniper streams. I know I am. Okay, so now that we got most of the smaller stuff out of the way, let's move on to the Direct. What everyone wants to talk about, what everyone's been talking about. So, the first thing they showed was the new Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak massive expansion, and quote unquote massive expansion, whatever that means. They didn't show any gameplay as far as I can remember, and it was just kind of like a big dragon, just kind of went up there as a big dragon. So, you know, I didn't play Rise when it first came out, but I like Monster Hunter. I played, you know, World was really, really great. I played some of the other ones when I was a kid, but, you know, I really enjoyed that, so I probably would enjoy Rise, I just haven't gotten around to playing yet. So it was cool to see that they're actually still supporting the game. I guess that's kind of like the big point for me personally. I wasn't too excited about the stuff that was going on because I didn't really know what was going on because I haven't played the game yet. But just seeing that they're actually supporting the game is, you know, that's cool to see and sort of makes me want to get the game a little bit more now. Following that, we saw some more courses that were going to be put into Mario Party Superstars, which looked really good in my opinion. I'm really looking forward to that game. That's up there on my sort of list for this Direct of like best things that I saw was like that Mario Party, you know, those courses looked really, really good. So I was super hyped about that. Based on what we've been seeing and what they've been showing us, it seems like this is probably going to be one of the best Mario Party games ever. You know, I don't want to jinx it, but it seems like it's going to be a really good game. At least I'll just say that. The one negative that's still there is that all the boards are going to be from the Mario Party games on the N64, I believe it is. So they're not going to be taking the ones from like the GameCube, the Wii, and so on and so forth. And, you know, I think it's kind of a shame because this could have been like the best Mario Party game ever if they had just taken all the boards from all the other games. Obviously, it's still really good that they have, you know, a decent amount of boards that all look really nice, but it could have been like the perfect Mario Party game, I guess. But maybe they're saving that for later. Maybe they're going to announce something that will say like, oh, there's going to be further updates that are going to add other courses and stuff like that. So we don't know yet. We're not sure, but I'm really excited. And after Mario Party, we saw this new tabletop RPG looking style. I guess it's just an RPG. But it looked kind of interesting. It was like a card game. You sort of, you don't play in a traditional RPG style where like, you like travel around. It's kind of like you're moving pieces. I don't know if you're rolling dice, but you're moving around on like the cards and you're having card battles as opposed to like normal battles in an RPG. It was kind of interesting. I don't really know how I feel about it yet. The story seemed kind of generic, so I don't know about that, but I'm interested. I want to see more from the game. I want to see more about how it actually plays before I get too excited for it. So I mean, it was cool, but I'm not sure yet. And then a little bit ways down the road, we saw the Hyrule Warriors expansion pass. Again, I think this is like the third or fourth direct in a row that they've talked about the Hyrule Warriors expansion pass. And, it's not really my thing. I played the demo. I thought it was cool, but not really something that I'd like to invest a lot of time into. So, I just wasn't really interested in this particular part, but if it's your thing and, you're excited for the expansion pass, more power to you. I think that's awesome. So there you go. And then after that, we had something that probably not a lot of people were excited about, but I was pretty excited about, which was Chocobo GP, the racing game, the Final Fantasy racing game. It's like a super weird concept, but I quite enjoy Final Fantasy. I play a lot of Final Fantasy 14, so when I saw that, I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. So I'm interested in it. It wasn't, the most graphically impressive or visually interesting game ever, but I thought it could be fun. If it's less than $60, then maybe I'll get it. That was what I said when I was watching it live. I was like, if it's maybe like $40, $30, maybe I'll pick it up. But if it's a full price game, I probably won't get it. Just laying the cards out on the table there. And after that sort of section of third-party stuff and like less impactful announcements, we finally got to another section of like big Nintendo announcements, that sort of thing. So the first thing they talked about was the last Smash Fighter. They said there's going to be a separate stream on October 5th where Mr. Sakurai-san, is going to talk about the final Smash Fighter there. And, I'm pretty excited for that. I thought it was kind of weird that they're separating that out from this, even though it's only 2 weeks or something like that from when this aired. But I guess Sakurai wants to, he wants to do his own thing. He's not really part of Nintendo. He wants to do his own little stream thing. So I say, it's the last fighter. More power to you, Sakurai. I hope it's a cool fighter. In terms of what I think it might be, man, I don't even know. I think it would be really cool if it was an actual first-party, Nintendo character, because it's like the last fighter in like the biggest Smash game ever. Probably should be like a Nintendo character or like a really relevant or important character, someone that would fit in with Smash. But, I've seen rumblings online that say like, oh, it's going to be a third-party character. So if it's a third-party character and it's someone cool, then, that's cool. But I would personally prefer a first-party fighter. That's just me. But, if it's Master Chief, John 117, if it's that guy, then I'll probably be, a little miffed. But it's probably not going to be Master Chief, but maybe it is. I don't know. We'll see. And following that Smash announcement, we had the announcement that, I was talking about earlier that I got spoiled for, which was Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Now, even though I was spoiled for the game, like I said before, I'm still really excited for it. The trailer that they showed looked really nice. The graphics looked great. The movements, the frame rate looked really great. And the gameplay looked really, really cool. So I'm really excited for that. The only thing that was like a little bit worrying, I guess, not really worrying, but a little not optimal in my opinion, was that like the way Kirby was sort of going through the levels, it still seemed like it was kind of like, it's not like, I don't want to say on rails, but like linear almost, where you're kind of traveling through like the point of the game where the developers want you to go. There's no real exploration. It's just kind of like you're just going down the track, essentially. That's what it seemed like, kind of like a Sonic 3D Sonic game style. And obviously that's a perfectly acceptable way to make a game, but I would prefer like an open world game or something at least a little bit more exploration heavy. But obviously, this looks really fun too, so I'm still excited for it, but that was just like kind of like the one thing that sort of was like, for me. But I guess I should also mention that we obviously don't know all that much about this game yet, so it could be completely different from what we saw in the trailer. It could be, totally exploration filled to the brim, and I just don't know what I'm talking about here. But At least that's from what I saw in the trailer, that's like what it led me to believe. So just gonna have to look out and see what they sort of announce later on. And I'm still very excited for the game. I'm overly excited, very, very excited. So it's looking cool. And then following that big Kirby reveal, we had the announcement of the update for Mario Golf Super Rush, which kind of just got like, it was like a little bit pushed off to the side just because it was like right after Kirby. I didn't see too much talk about it online. But yeah, it seemed like it was a pretty good update. I didn't play it yet. It already came out, actually. It came out that day. And yeah, it seemed like it was, a pretty decent amount of stuff. They had, I believe, 2 characters and a couple of courses. So, it looked pretty cool. I'll have to get my hands on it before I make any sort of decisions about how it turned out. But I'm excited that they're actually supporting the game and adding some stuff in there. Obviously, people are always going to say, like, oh, this should have been there from the beginning. But, you take what you get. I thought the game was, it was a good package on its own, but it just needed more content. So there you go. This is adding some more content. Maybe it'll make the game a little bit better. Who knows? And in addition to Mario Golf, we got a little bit more information about Triangle Strategy. Now not known as Project Triangle Strategy, it's just Triangle Strategy, so that surprised everyone in the world. But we just saw like a short little trailer. It wasn't anything too spectacular. It was just kind of some stuff that we already knew about, like how the gameplay worked. It was like, oh, you're moving your character over here, you're fighting the guy. There was some English voice acting, which wasn't the best in my opinion, at least. I'll probably play with Japanese voice acting, but I'm still excited for the game. It looks very nice. I love that HD 2D style. So that was cool to see. It got a release date as well, I believe, right? It was like March of 2022. Going out of order here a little bit, but we had the the Animal Crossing Direct that was announced there. I just kind of skipped over that because of the way that I listed the things out here. I put it in with the Smash one. I was supposed to talk about it there, but I didn't talk about it there, so we're talking about it here. But yeah, that seems cool. They're bringing back the Roost. They got Brewster in there, so have to wait and see on that. But it looks like maybe they'll be able to bring me back into the game. I don't know. I haven't played in a while. I had like over 700 hours into the game, and then I just kind of fell off a cliff right after that because I just kind of burned out and there wasn't really much else to do. So if they actually get some good content in the game, I'll go back and play and I'll check it out for sure. But up until now, it hasn't really done that for me. So hopefully this next Direct will be able to announce some stuff that maybe will bring me back in. That's what I'm hoping for. Alright, but getting back on track, we had a short Metroid Dread trailer, and they had like this like log book thing or whatever it was. Yeah, so I mean the game is still looking great. It wasn't really anything, groundbreaking that they showed, which I guess is good because you don't want to get spoiled for it. But it's still looking great. It's looking like a good game. They had like a little bit more, some lore beats in there that they were talking about, but it wasn't anything like super spoilerific. And I thought that was good. I'm still very excited for the game. I just, I gotta get my hands on it. I'm not like the hugest Metroid guy, so I really need to get a feel for this one first before I'm able to like make my judgments about like how I feel about it, I guess. I don't know. I can't really form an opinion as it is right now, I guess. Alright, now speeding on along here, we had the Nintendo Switch Online announcement that, they said we're at an N64 and Genesis, and then everyone was like, yeah, that's awesome, that's what we wanted. And then they're like, but you're gonna have to pay more money, and we're not gonna tell you how much money you're gonna have to pay yet. You're gonna have to wait and see for that because we don't want to announce it here because then we're gonna get backlash here, and we just want people to be excited for it. But all right, I don't know. I'm hoping that it's just not over $30. That's if it's $10 extra, that's it's not the greatest. I would prefer it would just be baseline. It should be baseline, but I'm willing to pay an extra $10, to get access to some of this stuff if they're going to add some like really cool games. But I don't know. As of right now, the selection doesn't look like it's going to be the greatest. I have most, if not, like all of the N64 games already, so I don't really need that specifically. But if they add some, and they had custom Robo on the Japanese one, which I don't actually have yet. So that was cool. Maybe like if it's just a couple extra bucks, I would get the service just to play custom Robo. So that would be cool. But and the Genesis stuff also was kind of interesting, even though you could already get those Genesis games, at least most of them, on the Switch or other platforms as well. So that was kind of like meh. But maybe they'll add some more later down the line that they don't have available yet. So I don't know. I just wish it was baseline, I guess. And if it's more than $30, I'll be pretty I'll be pretty against it. They also had the remade like Nintendo Switch Online N64 controller and Genesis controller. Japan got the Mega Drive controller with the 6 buttons, and then like America only got the 3 buttons. So that was kind of lame, but yeah, they're way overpriced. They're like $49.99 for like one of those. It's like, that's a lot of money. If you want to get both of them, you have to pay $100. It's like, what are you doing? It's like an N64 controller that you can only use with the N64 games on the Switch. It's like, I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, it's a cool little thing to have. It's cool. But if it was, you know, maybe it was like 20, 30 bucks, I would get it. But like 50 bucks, that's a lot of money. $100 for 2 controllers, that's a lot. And it's just things that you can only use with those specific games. I don't know. It wasn't great. Maybe they'll reduce the price at some point. It's Nintendo, so probably not, but we'll see. And now, since, you know, we're getting pretty long at this point, I'm going to skip over like the next section of like third-party games and that kind of thing. They had Castlevania Advanced Collection and this other RPG, not really RPG, but like the side-scrolling game that looked really cool from Square Enix, I think. But not really anything groundbreaking. I thought those two games looked pretty cool, but besides for that, not really anything great. But following that, we had probably the, I guess, biggest announcement, for better or worse, of the press conference, which was the voice cast. Yes, the voice cast for the Super Mario movie that everyone's talking about. They literally like destroyed the internet for a while there, and understandably so. All right, let's just kind of go through the list here. So first off, we had Chris Pratt as Mario, which is just like, as soon as everybody saw that, they were just like, ew it. Because it's just like very, very out of character for Mario to be played by Chris Pratt, but it was hilarious. And then we had Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach, which pretty much everyone was just okay with. It was like, oh, that's fine. Peach doesn't really have a big role or a big, you know, discernible personality, I guess, in the games. So it's kind of like, yeah, sure. And then we moved on to Charlie Day as Luigi, which is just like, okay, so everything's just out the window at this point, essentially. I don't know, like, at this, I still don't even know how that's even going to be done. How is that going to sound? Well, like, is he going to do a Luigi voice? Is it just going to be Charlie's voice just coming out of Luigi? I don't know, but that one was one of the weirder ones, you know, even for this list. And we had Jack Black as Bowser. You know, I mean, sure, why not? It was probably, like, at the time, like, when I saw it, it was hilarious, but like, after a little bit of time, I was like, you know, okay, maybe he'll be able to do a good Bowser. If he'll do like a weird voice or something for Bowser, maybe it could work. But yeah, it's still pretty weird. And then after that, we had the weirdest one, in my opinion, which was Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. It's just, I can't even put those two things in the same room, in the same vicinity. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know if is he going to do like I said, is he going to do the Toad voice? Is it just going to be Keegan-Michael Key's voice coming out of Toad? It's so weird, but I don't know. I guess maybe they have a plan for that. I don't know. And then the last sort of member of the main cast was Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, which is just another one that's just like, these two things should not be in the same area. You shouldn't be putting these two things together. I don't know, man. I can't picture that. How is that going to work out? Is it going to do the Donkey Kong voice? Is he going to do like the okay? Like, or is he just going to be like, hey guys, I'm Donkey Kong. I can't do a Seth Rogen voice, but you know what I mean. Then after that, they said that Charles Martinet was going to be doing some sort of side role, which is just like, you already kicked the guy, you know, out of his main roles, like most of his roles, and then you're just like, oh yeah, you could just do some other side character. I don't know if it's going to be like Waluigi or Wario or something, but like, it's kind of like rubbing salt in the guy's wound, don't you think? I don't know. Like, he should have just been Mario. Like, everybody thought he was going to be Mario. Everyone assumed he was going to be Mario. And then it's Chris Pratt. So yeah, they definitely did my boy Charles dirty. But what are you going to do at this point, right? They also showed 3 other characters, or I guess actors after Charles Martinet. That was, they had Kamek, Cranky Kong, and Spike. And like the weirdest one was that Fred Armisen is Cranky Kong. It's like another one where it's like, how do you come up with that? How does that come about? There's guys in a boardroom like, I think Fred Armisen will do the job. I don't know. But yeah, so this kind of took the internet by storm for a little while. It kind of still is. People are still making videos about it. I mean, I'm making one right now. People are, talking about it on Twitter, so on and so forth. And, it's a Hollywood movie. I guess, I wasn't really expecting it, but it's like, now that it's, that I've seen it, I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense. But like, obviously I don't agree with it. But I don't know. It seems like, from what I saw, Chris Pratt, he posted like a video on Instagram or Twitter or something, and he said like, he got the offer to be Mario, and he's like, that sounds awesome, I'll do it. And he seems like a guy who would really enjoy doing this sort of role. So I have no like ill will towards any of the actors that are like, oh, I just want to. It sounded like a cool opportunity, so I'm doing it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine, right? And I think that's really cool for them. But it's just like, for me personally, I was expecting, the actual voice actors of the characters from the games to do the characters in the movies. And then when they announced that it wasn't that, and it was these really out there choices, that kind of like, was funny and at the same time disappointing. So that's just my perspective on that. All right, but I think we spent enough time on that. We have two more things to go over. The first is the Splatoon 3 trailer that they showed. They showed a bunch more gameplay and, a little bit more lore. They had some lore in there about the mammals or the mammalians, whatever they're called. And yeah, so that looked cool. I'm not the biggest Splatoon guy, but the guys that do the direct stuff, like the guys that always come out in like the lab coats and the aviator sunglasses, they always they seem like they really care about the game, and they have a lot of fun making it. So that was really cool to see, and it makes me want to play the game, because like it seems like the developers are really into making the game, and seeing that, it's like that's really cool. I want to support that. So yeah, that was neat. And the last thing that was, it was kind of a surprise to me at least, was Bayonetta 3. They had a trailer there, and it's been like 4 or 5 years since they announced the game initially. So at this point, I just figured it had been either canceled or just like, they just didn't want to talk about it anymore. They just swept it under the rug. But apparently it exists, and it seemed like it was functioning pretty well in the trailer that they showed. So that was pretty cool. I like the new Bayonetta hairstyle that they got going there. It looks pretty cool. And like all these like big monsters that they were controlling in the trailer. Well, the one dragon had a stock elephant sound effect that says like sort of roar or whatever. That was kind of weird, but you kind of look past that kind of thing. But yeah, it looked pretty cool. I haven't played the other Bayonetta games, but it was still pretty interesting. I know about the games. I'm interested in them. Maybe I'll play them before 3 comes out and see what it's all about. So I don't know. That was pretty interesting to see. All right, and the last thing we're going to do before we wrap things up here is go over this week's deal of the week. And that is going to be a big one. We got a big one this week, boys and girls and everybody watching. We've got Banon Wonderworld is $19.99 at Best Buy and Amazon for the PlayStation 4. So that's definitely a must buy. I can 100% I can't say that. I can't recommend the game. I'm just kidding. This week's deal of the week is going to be on the Final Fantasy XIV Complete Edition. For the PlayStation 4, I believe you can get it on the US PlayStation Network for only $24. So if you're interested in playing Final Fantasy XIV, that's a good way to get in. You get the original game, you get all the expansions, and you get 30 days of playtime. So it's definitely a pretty good deal. That's how I got in on the PlayStation 4 a couple of months back when I started playing again. And yeah, I think it's a great game, and I definitely recommend you pick it up if you want to get a good game from Square Enix. Then that's the one you should go for. And that sale goes until October 7th at 4 a.m. Eastern time. So you got a couple of weeks if you're interested in the game. If you want to check out some information about it, now's the time to get in. You got the new expansion coming out in a couple of months. So if you're interested in the game, definitely consider picking that up. But okay, oh boy, that was a doozy. We're at like 33 minutes at this point, so this is going to be the longest Ackernews that I've done so far. That's probably just because of the direct, obviously, but my goal is to get them down to like 20 minutes or less than 20 minutes, around 20. I don't know. That seems like the optimal amount to me. So this is probably going to be like an outlier, just because there was like a lot to talk about this week with the direct. So if you did make it this far in the video, thanks so much. I don't really know what to say. Thanks for sticking with me this whole ride. It was definitely a long one. And if you did enjoy the video, consider giving it a like. It's always greatly appreciated and helps me out a ton. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, consider subscribing as well. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Ack out.
Hey guys, I'm Donkey Kong. It's Mario. Look at this guy over here. I'm gonna roll some barrels at him. Here's a banana. Get out of here.